Welcome to PBNP, also known as the Peanut Butter and Progress Podcast. My name is Austin.
And I'm Kayla.
We're a normal couple with an abnormal passion for health and fitness.
With over 25 years of combined competitive sports experience, we hope to share our knowledge with you and make your health and fitness journey just a little easier.
Thanks for joining.
And we are back. Episode 2. Look at us.
I mean, we're trucking along.
2's not bad. I'm pretty proud of it so far. So today we're going to be talking about what it's like to hire a coach or a personal trainer, some of the expectations you should have before hiring a coach or personal trainer, and what it's like to communicate with that person. Because I think communication and expectation management are really the two keys to making that a successful relationship. So I've had a few coaches in the past from both the bodybuilding and powerlifting perspective, and I've had nothing but positive experiences. Unfortunately, Kayla, you have not had the same experience, right?
I have not. I've definitely had a little bit of a different experience. I have had both wonderful coaches, and I have definitely hired some coaches in the past who, at the time, I didn't know that they didn't really know what they were doing. But now that I have been into bodybuilding for a little bit longer, and I have also gotten into studying nutrition and physiology, I now realize that they didn't really know what they were doing. And that is kind of a terrifying situation to get yourself into.
Yeah, that sucks. That's pretty much worst case scenario. By the way, this is our first totally unscripted conversation. And the previous two, we did a little bit of research, kind of outlined the conversation. This is the first one that's just totally off the dome, and we're kind of excited to see how it shapes up.
Off the dome.
Off the dome.
My dome's not doming right now.
Mine isn't either. All right, so yeah, I've had a couple of coaches and they've all been great. I'm not going to say we saw eye to eye on everything, but like that's pretty much never going to happen anyway. And something interesting you might find out is that I was not the ideal client, and I really didn't understand that until recently. And when I say not the ideal client, trust me when I say I followed everything to a T. And I know you're the same way. Absolutely. Ferocious about I'm going to follow my macros, I'm going to hit my cardio, I'm going to take the supplements, I'm going to do the training, I'm not going to miss a beat. But there were some things that I did, and I unintentionally set all of my coaches up for failure. And not like hardcore failure, but really I put them in a very disadvantageous position by not letting them know enough about me, my history, my genetics, and my personal goals before setting my personal goals and then working towards that goal together. And when I say personal coach, I think it's important to differentiate that from a high school coach or a college coach. Those people are probably incredibly talented and knowledgeable, and they possess the skills to increase the skills of the individual. But at the end of the day, those coaches are meant to create winning teams. When we talk about personal trainers and the coaches that we've hired, we pay those people on a month-to-month basis to do nothing except make me get better at being me. It's all about an individualized program or plan that is all about making me, Austin Martin, step by step closer to my personal goals. And I think that that's a very, very different relationship than what a lot of people think about when they think of coaches and they refer to their high school or college coaches.
When it comes to bodybuilding, I am so different from Austin. We are a different height. We are a different weight. We have different energy expenditures every day. We have different metabolism speeds. And so a coach cannot come on and write the exact same plan for Austin and I. It would never work. One of us would gain weight. One of us would lose weight. One of us would feel like shit. One of us would feel great. And that's why personal training has to be such an individualized experience. And when I have had problems with coaches in the past, so I'll give you an example. My first bodybuilding prep, I hired a coach who told me absolutely no sodium. And I have mentioned—
Horrible idea, off the rip.
I've mentioned before that I have dysautonomia and I have to have sodium. If I do not have sodium, there is an increased likelihood that I will pass out. Best case scenario, I'll walk around just feeling super dizzy all day. And so a coach completely eliminating sodium out of my diet, I couldn't figure out why I felt like shit all the time. Mm-hmm. I felt like crap all the time. I just wanted to sleep. I felt lightheaded all day. And now hiring coaches in the future, I know that that was completely wrong. That was a coach who didn't know what they were doing. And it just seemed like every week when I would get updates to my meal plan, it just felt so cookie cutter. And I kind of realized that that coach was just kind of sending all of the girls that they coached pretty much the same plan. It was never geared towards my body. It never seemed like it was based on my weight increases or decreases or anything like that. And I realized very quickly that that coach, their plan works for probably a lot of people. They had a lot of people step on stage and win, but it doesn't work for everyone. And it's also very dangerous the way that that prep was run.
Yeah, what you just mentioned certainly highlights one of the major issues with the cookie cutter programs that people seek out online. A lot of people will follow their favorite influencer or their favorite actor or actress, and they release a program or an app, and they're like, follow this 30-day program to become more like me.
And 30-day booty builder.
It
Come
might
on, guys.
work. It might work a little bit. Doing something is always better than doing nothing, but it's fundamentally flawed because it's not tailored to you. A program 100% has to be built around the individual, and that is not negotiable. 100%. It has to be made for the individual. And I wish more people would recognize that up front because it would save them so much time and effort and energy and accelerate their progress at a level that they currently don't understand.
I think another important thing that Austin talked about is what it's like to be coached by someone else. You know, we have both personal trained in the past. You have to enjoy it. There's a lot of personal trainers out there that definitely do it for the money. And I think to be an effective personal trainer, you have to do it because you want to help people and you want to see people transform. And it can be definitely frustrating from a perspective. You know, Austin said earlier, we are both the kind of people, if you give us a plan and we trust you, we are going to follow it to a T. We're not going to miss a workout. We're not going to mess up a meal. We're not even going to overeat our macros at all. And it's sometimes I think easy to forget for people who are very involved in fitness and bodybuilding and prepping when they become coaches that not everybody's like that. And I think for me, the most important thing is being honest with your coach. You know, to be a client of someone who is trying to write a plan for you, if you are not honest with yourself and you are not honest with that person, your plan's not going to work for you. If you lie and say, I was perfect this week, but your weight went up and it was because you had 2 McDonald's meals that week and you didn't tell your coach is going to lower your calories without actually needing to. You probably just overate 2 meals and your calories don't need to be dropped. You just had a bad week and that's fine.
I know so many people that cheat on their diets and don't tell their coaches, and it blows my mind. And look, there's multiple problems there. It's not just you did the wrong thing and you deserve to be punished. That's not how you should look at it.
No, it's messing up is fine. You do not have to be perfect. If you are not on bodybuilding prep, you don't have to be perfect. There is no reason to lie.
No, and you're not going to progress if you don't let your coach know, like, hey, I snuck a cupcake last night. And the thing is, your coach will be more happy that you came clean and you're honest about that pitfall rather than hiding it from him or her for the remainder of your personal training experience.
Exactly, because it'll make sense. As a coach, it is frustrating when someone is coming to you every week and is like, I've hit all my macros this week. Everything's fine. I got in all my workouts. And I'm like, I don't understand, because with the macros that I have you on and the amount of workouts and the amount of cardio that I have you on, you should be losing weight. And then it's still not happening. And my brain is like, okay, I think maybe this person's not being honest with me, but if you're not honest with me, then I can't properly program for you. And
sometimes the case is that clients are not intentionally misleading their coaches. Sometimes there's just calories that are sneaking their way into your diet and you're just not aware of it.
Yep.
Think about condiments, right? Like maybe your coach said, maybe your coach was like, hey, you're going to do low calorie condiments only. It's going to be like mustard and hot sauce and those types of things. But you didn't know that. And so you're putting sugary ketchup and barbecue sauce or ranch or all of those things, and you're unintentionally adding hundreds of calories to your diet, that might be the reason that you're being held back and not progressing the way that you expected to. But you just have to tell your coach about that. No one's going to be mad. They're just going to help you and provide you the tools to success so that you're better moving forward. Here's the thing. Number one is knowledge and the ability to communicate effectively. And that's different for everybody. Just because someone's not a great communicator with you doesn't mean that you won't communicate well with someone else. Everyone's got like a vibe that they're looking for in a coach, right? It's just the words that they choose, the language that they speak. Maybe you just gravitate towards some guys or girls more than others. And my thing is, before every coach that I've had, I've always picked their brains. I'm going to ask them some really hard questions. Be like, what do you think about this? What is your approach to this? Well, if this is part of my lifestyle, how would you account for this? And none of them take offense to it. They know that I mean business, and I'm not going to pay them if I'm not going to become a better athlete at the end of the day. And so I really make an effort to like cross-examine these guys and girls. And I'm like, hey, this is not me attacking you or any way or trying to make you feel dumb. You probably know a lot more than I do, but I want to know what you know just to ensure that you're going to be the next level for me.
I feel that. And like I mentioned previously in this episode, I've hired coaches in the past where I just saw that they had girls that were winning. And I was like, well, that must mean that they're a good coach. And now, getting a little bit further into bodybuilding and a little bit further into my career in competing, that's not necessarily what makes a good coach. There are cookie cutter plans, like I said, that work for a lot of people, but my body's not like everyone else's, and I don't want to be like everybody else. You know what I mean? I want a plan that's tailored to me. And I'm currently actually using Austin's coach that he used for his last prep, which is kind of funny. And the reason that I like Thomas so much is because, again, we've mentioned that I have a bachelor's in biology, a master's in public health, and I love science speak. I like to know why certain things are the way that they are. And when you ask Thomas a question, he will literally give you probably like almost a paragraph response on why something's the way it is. I'll be like, why am I holding water weight this week? And he'll be like, well, it's because this supplement we added. And, he'll get all the way down to like ATP molecules are doing and your glucose molecules are doing whatever. And I love that.
You might have to repeat everything you just said because our Samsung dryer just sung us the song of its people for like 60 seconds. We'll see how that shows up on camera.
Hopefully not. I mean, if it's saying I'm so sorry.
It's a delightful song. It kind of is.
It's the sound of its people.
I always forget how long it is, though.
It's so long. Have you ever seen the TikTok video of the person doing Harry Potter with it?
Yes.
Oh my God, I love it.
Talent. But yeah, I agree with everything you just said. Thomas is a great coach, extremely knowledgeable. I learned so much from that guy, and it's been fun watching you go through his coaching methods and having your own individualized experience through his methodology.
Definitely.
And so, yeah, when it comes to selecting a coach, if you are starting to think, well, maybe I need some help, and I'm tired of using cookie cutter programs and all the things that I Google and I research don't seem to be working for me, you can cut out all of that madness by hiring someone, having a conversation with them, and they will say, these are the steps that you need to take. The first thing, though, is that you need to decide what your goals are. And maybe that's not clear right now. A coach can actually help you decide what your goals are. But, generally speaking, is it weight loss? Is it to run a marathon? Is it to step on your first powerlifting stage? Is it to recover from an injury? Is it to step on a bodybuilding stage? And this might seem obvious, but a lot of people don't think about it. Much like in episode 0, when I said you wouldn't hire a librarian to do your plumbing work, et cetera, you wouldn't hire a running coach to get you onto a bodybuilding stage. You wouldn't hire a bikini pro to help you with a powerlifting meet. And so when you're talking with potential coaches, ask them what their area of expertise is, and also ask them, well, have you ever stepped on stage? Have you ever done a show before? Have you ever ran a marathon? And I'm not saying that they have to be top-tier athletes themselves. We know time and time again that there are incredible people out there who are better at coaching than they are being athletes. I think about Coach K as an example. I'm a big fan of that guy. He's one of the most winningest basketball coaches in the history of the sport. The guy did play Division I basketball, but everyone recognizes that he is a far more effective coach than he ever was as a player. But he still had skin in the game. Being a D1 basketball player still requires like a base level of skill. He knows what it's like to be on the court, to put the jersey on and play ball. Similarly, if you're looking for a powerlifting coach, you need to have someone who's been under the bar before, who knows what it's like to get 3 white lights. They don't have to be an internationally ranked athlete, but they need to have some skin in the game. Does that make sense?
It does. I just want to make sure, I want to hit this from the perspective of someone who has a chronic condition, who's had multiple surgeries. If you have conditions like diabetes, heart conditions, you have Ehlers-Danlos, you have connective tissue disorders, whatever illness you have, make sure when you're selecting a coach that they have experience with that. There are coaches out there that have had specialized training in injury recovery or have specialized training in working with people that have heart conditions or diabetes. And I think it's also extremely important to understand that personal trainers do not have, most of them, I don't want to say all of them, are not nutritionists. They would have had to have gone and got a 4-year degree to actually be a certified nutritionist. People can have a nutrition certification. That is not the same as actually being a formally educated nutrition dietitian. So I want to make sure that people understand that. And if a personal trainer is ever giving you specific foods that you need to eat outside of macros, that is completely outside of their realm of expertise and is actually technically not legal for them to do. So I just want to make sure that you guys know that. If you ever see a personal trainer claiming that they have a nutrition certificate, it's not an actual nutritionist or a dietitian.
I'm about to go on a rant.
Here we go. Everyone buckle down. Hold on. Let me sip my coffee.
When selecting a coach or personal trainer, please understand that attractiveness does not equal knowledgeable. Attractive does not mean experience. Attractive doesn't mean skilled. You have to understand that we are all subjective to the marketing that is put in front of our faces via social media by the health and fitness industry. The health and fitness industry is dominated by people who are 19, 20, 21, 22, and they are beautiful human beings who won the genetic lottery. Please, please, please do not confuse those people with knowledgeable coaches who can genuinely help you. And maybe I sound a little bit jealous because I didn't win the genetic lottery, but I feel so bad for people who pay money to get coached by some 19-year-old person who has no idea what they're doing.
And potentially have, like when I hired my first coach, my metabolism was messed up after that prep. I actually had to hire a different coach to kind of help restart my metabolism.
I actually undo the damage that was done.
I did. I had to hire another coach because after that prep, no matter what I ate, I couldn't gain weight. And I know a lot of you are looking at that and they're like, well, it's not that big of a problem. It's a problem when you want to compete in bodybuilding and you're trying to put on muscle and you physically cannot gain weight.
It's also a health issue.
It is.
At its core.
Someone had to help me fix my metabolism. And that's, don't give me even down the wormhole right now of 1,200 calorie a day diets. Those will destroy your metabolism every time. And then you're trying to undo the damage of being at that low of calories. And if you want to keep losing weight, you have to cut your calories even more than that. And it's just not sustainable. But anyways, I will not, I will stop right there. I'm going to put a wall on that one.
Yeah. If you can't tell, this is something we're particularly passionate about.
Yeah. Very passionate about. But, you know, that being said, if you hire the wrong coach, you may sometimes be left with more damage than you began with. And that can be very frustrating from personal experience.
Yeah. Another key piece to expectation management is the time piece. The way that I screwed up 2, maybe 3 of my previous coaches is that I went up to them and after deeming them worthy of becoming my personal trainer,
you have made it.
I was like, hey, I want to achieve this goal in the next 11 weeks. And at the time, Thomas was like, this is not the best idea, but we're going to do our best to make it happen. And I appreciated that because in my mind, I had already selected a goal and I was going to do whatever I could in the next 11 weeks to make it happen. But at the time, I didn't realize how the disadvantageous position I put him in because he had 0 time to get to know me, to get to know my athletic history, All he had to work off of was a client questionnaire. He didn't know how I was going to react to certain proteins or certain inputs or certain macros or certain training protocols. And I didn't know either. And that's the thing about having a coach. That coach will learn about you as you learn about you. There are so many things that you have yet to learn about yourself, and those things are going to be absolutely fundamental to your success in health and fitness. So my current coach, who is a close friend of mine that I've known for like 8 years now, he probably knows me better than I know me, which is kind of a weird thing to say, but certain inputs tend to yield certain outputs. And he'll be like, yeah, I expected that. I'm like, I don't know how you knew that. He's like, well, because I've done this in the past and I know how you react to these things and I've lived with you and I know what your diet looks like and I know your family history. The guy's met my family. He's like, I know why these things are happening to you. And I was like, I had no idea. But he's incredibly intelligent and he recognizes those little things. And it's that longevity that's making him so successful. 8 years, think about that.
8 years is a really long time.
And so when you hire a coach and you think, wow, I paid this guy or girl $150 over the last 2 months and I'm not even shredded yet. Look, that coach, no matter how incredible they are, cannot undo 20, 25 years of bad habits in 60 days. It's just not possible. And I don't want that to be discouraging. You can make a lot of progress in 60 days. I just think expectation management is key. The longer that you spend with this same coach and the more that you communicate with that person, the better that relationship is going to get and the faster you can expedite your own success.
I think that's definitely key. And then I think one of the other biggest things that a lot of people don't think about when you think of a coach, at least a bodybuilding or a personal trainer, is a source of motivation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of people will just use a coach, and if they're having a bad day, they won't reach out to them. Or if you're feeling kind of crappy about yourself, or you think something's not working and you have a question, but you don't really want to bug your coach or something like that. Like, I don't know, what's a good example? What was I stressed about like 2 weeks ago?
Everything.
I think I was like, I don't feel like I've gotten any leaner in 1 week.
Yeah.
1 week. Like, come on. But at the time, I felt really stressed about it. And I was like, I feel like I look less lean this week than I did last week. And I was like, you know what? Let me stop festering in this little like cesspool I have going on right now and just message my coach.
Yeah.
And I messaged him and I was like, you know, I don't feel like I'm any leaner. I don't really feel that good this week. I lost a lot of weight and I didn't think I was going to lose this much weight this fast, which I know is really funny coming from a woman. But on prep, I never want to lose weight that fast because I want to be as large and lean as I possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, he messaged back and was like, I normally don't hear that from female clients.
Right.
And I was like, well, that's funny because I know I'm weird, but
you've been around the block and you know
exactly
what the end goal should look like.
And it's just nice, you know, having someone be like, this is kind of such a small thing to stress about. It could be anything. It could be water weight. It could be glycogen stores. Like, you just kind of need to put that in the back of your head. But it's funny because Austin can sit there and tell me that all day. And I'm like, well, you're my boyfriend. I'm not going to listen to you. But the second I hear it from a coach, I'm like, okay, you know what? Maybe I do just need to do that. You know, sometimes it is nice having that perspective from someone else who's like, when you're struggling with motivation or you're having a hard week or you have a question about something and something's not going right, instead of just taking things into your own hands, like if say you lost a lot of weight and you were like, oh, I don't want to lose that much weight. And you just decide on your own time that, you know, you're just going to cut out a cardio session so you don't keep losing weight that fast, or you're going to eat extra.
Yeah.
Reaching out to your coach and being like, hey, I need a little extra motivation, or I have a question why things are the way that they are.
Mm-hmm.
Your coach is there as an extra tool to offer you some motivation, which I also kind of hate the word motivation, and I hate that I've used it multiple times, but someone to help you pursue your goals when you're not feeling your best.
Yeah. I think that's honestly where my experience as a personal trainer kind of started to come to a halt. I enjoy helping people, and I think that that's like the sole purpose of this podcast, is because I enjoy helping people through this medium, through conversations.
Exactly.
But I did notice that when I became a personal trainer, I assumed every client was going to be like me and was just going to follow everything to a T. But a lot of people genuinely just like pay to have an outlet and pay for someone to motivate them every day. I'm not a motivation guy. I threw motivation out the window years ago. The reason I do what I do is purely discipline. And that could be a whole nother podcast on its own, but.
Oh, I can talk about the difference between motivation and discipline for probably
All
like
day.
an hour.
Yeah.
But I do think it is important. And I think that's why you're looking for a coach that's able to help you do those things. And that's what I was trying to say earlier is a lot of coaches are just in it for the money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think it takes people like Austin to kind of like realize, you know, maybe I'm not the best person to motivate other people because, you know, that's not really how I think. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, you know, for me, I realized very quickly that that's probably honestly one of the most important parts of personal training. You know, I work with a couple of people who have connective tissue disorders like myself, and hearing, you know, from those people that they resonate with me and with, you know, kind of the transparency that I have on what it's like to be into fitness, be into bodybuilding with a connective tissue disorder after having surgeries and stuff like that. And I'll have clients, you know, message me and be like, this week was kind of hard. I had to switch my upper body with my lower body day because I was in a really bad flare. And I think for my clients, having someone who messages back and is like, I totally understand what that's like, and that's fine. And, you know, here's what I would do in this situation kind of thing. I think that that's helpful, and it kind of reinforces, I guess, where you're going with your fitness, and reinforces that, you know, honestly, like Austin mentioned earlier, doing anything is better than nothing, but making sure that you're not further injuring yourself. And, you know, I guess I have a little bit different perspective on when it comes to motivation because, you know, I think that I have a very strong mind for someone that's body doesn't quite like to keep up with them.
Yeah.
And I also understand that a lot of other people with chronic conditions have that same problem. Their bodies don't want to work, and it's frustrating because your mind wants to. And so having someone who can listen when you're going through that is really important.
That's incredible. Your clients are lucky to have you. Man. So yeah, physical fitness and achieving all those goals is all about inputs and outputs. One last piece of advice I think I'd have to say when it comes to sticking to the program or advice that your personal trainer has provided to you. You can't change too many things at once. Otherwise, you don't know what's working and what's not working. That's like fundamental to science, right? What is that called?
It is. Oh, don't do this.
You're the science person.
Wait. Repeat the question.
Essentially, where you can't manipulate more than one variable and then observe an outcome, because then you don't know if the outcome was due to variable A or variable B.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Kind of like
a constant, right?
Beta testing for A/B testing for fitness.
Here's the thing. When a coach sees a certain action happening, that coach is going to change maybe one thing. And you need to stick to that one thing, that one new change for an extended period of time. It might be a few days, it might be a few weeks. And that coach is going to see what that one small change did. Either it worked or it didn't work. Both are successes. Just because it didn't work doesn't mean you didn't learn something from it, and now you know you're not going to do that thing again in the future. And then a couple weeks pass, and that coach is going to change a different variable. Maybe it's a little more protein, maybe it's a little less carbs, maybe it's a little bit more of this supplementary exercise, or it's a little less barbell movement, or it's a little bit more warming up. That coach is going to add in different inputs and observe the outputs. And it's absolutely crucial that the client sticks to that plan so that the coach can continue to make informed decisions to help you continue down that path of success.
That's true. And I think the last thing that I would like to talk about is patience. It's kind of bouncing off of what Austin just said, but I'll give examples. So I have taken on clients who have previously been on plans and have felt like their own plans and felt like they've reached a certain spot and they've kind of plateaued and they want some help. And a lot of these clients that I'm taking on have gotten themselves on 1,200 calorie a day diets. And they're like, I'm not losing weight anymore and I don't understand why. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to take you on, but I need you to understand that we need to fix your metabolism first.
Yeah.
So you've been on 1,200 calories a day. And if you're even going to try to lose weight anymore, where you're at right now, you're going to have to eat less than 1,200 calories a day, or we're going to have to give you insane amounts of cardio to burn extra calories. So what I want to do, and this requires some trust, is I want to reverse diet you, meaning we're going to increase your calories a little bit. And it is absolutely possible to continue to recomp your body, meaning change the composition, meaning that while you're gaining weight, you could potentially be building muscle and losing fat just by changing the foods that you're eating.
At the same time.
Exactly.
There are specific instances where that is 100% possible.
But it is difficult and it requires patience, and a lot of people, as soon as they start seeing the scale increase even just a little bit,
freak out.
They're like, this isn't working. I'm done. I don't want to work with you anymore.
Yeah.
You have to have patience and trust your coach, because your coach knows what's best. Your coach actually understands what's going on down at the muscular level, the cellular level. I'm working real hard over here to this little noodle's going. And so it requires patience, because sometimes it seems like it's the opposite of what you want to do. But your coach knows what's going to fix your metabolism. And trying to get people to trust you when you're making one variable change, like Austin mentioned, I'm just increasing your calories. That's it. And we need to get you to a good maintenance level before we can cut again. But this time, we're going to hit your maintenance, which just say for a given person based on their height, weight, energy expenditure, it's 2,000 calories a day. You could be losing weight at 1,900 calories a day. You know what I mean? It's going to be slow weight loss. But how much better does that sound than losing weight at 1,200 calories a day?
I would rather have the 1,900 easily.
I would too. I'm hungry all the time.
It's always weird to me that people want to achieve a physical fitness goal and lose weight, but they don't want to eat food. I love food.
Me too.
And the fact that once you learn, the more you eat, the more you burn, it's this beautiful, beautiful light bulb moment that changes your life forever. And I just wish more people had that light bulb moment earlier in life.
Yeah. But
protein's always that first barrier, isn't it?
It is. A lot of people don't realize how much they're under eating protein. But it's small things like that. So your coach is going to give you a plan, and then you're going to have to be patient. And once something moves in either direction, plus, minus, then your coach is going to change a variable. Yeah. Maybe cardio. Maybe they'll reduce your calories, increase your calories. And you have to be patient, because when it comes to health and fitness, it is dangerous to gain weight too fast. It is dangerous to lose weight too fast. And so you're looking for these teeny tiny little minuscule changes every week. And that, to me, is why it requires patience.
It does. And that third party observation from the coach's perspective is really key.
It is.
Because I think, a lot of people hire a coach and they're like, okay, it's been 7 days. This sucks. I don't understand why I have to eat so much protein.
It's almost like they just want their coach to reinforce what's going on in their own head. Yeah. And a good coach is going to be like, no, that's not right.
Right. Yep. Education is always like that first step when it comes to taking on a new client and convincing them that what they are prescribing to you is actually going to work. And it's okay. Ask, why do I have to do this? Why is this so hard? And if the coach is saying, all right, well, you're 150 pounds and we're going to prescribe 150 grams of protein per day, and you've never eaten more than 60 in your whole life, 150 is going to feel like a lot. But let me tell you, it's not that much. You're going to get used to it. 4 weeks down the road, you're going to look back and be like, wow, I can't believe I ever thought 150 grams of protein was hard.
And it's going to be interesting, because 4 weeks down the road, your body's going to have also changed a little bit, and you're going to be like, it's crazy how just changing one macro has changed the composition of my body.
And it's okay if it's hard at the start. Just tell your coach, this is hard for me. He's gonna be like, well, let's figure out why it's hard. Is it hard because it seems like a lot of food? Maybe you should talk about nutrient timing, meal structure. Is it hard because you're having indigestion? Okay, well, let's talk about where your protein's coming from. Maybe you shouldn't be eating so much red meats, and maybe you should be sticking to white meats. Maybe you should be avoiding animal products and sticking to plant-based protein sources. There's an infinite number of solutions for that one singular problem. Eating protein's hard for me, but you're never going to get past that unless you talk to your coach about what's happening to you and why it's hard. Man, I love physical fitness. That was fun. How do you think the first rep went with no structure, no plan structure to this conversation.
I think that was really easy, and it's going to be a lot easier to edit. So.
And that wraps up episode 2 of the Peanut Butter and Progress podcast. I hope that was useful to somebody out there. If you ever have questions, comments, or suggestions for future conversations, please email us at the email in the link below. Thanks so much.